The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of bad. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throbbing my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too feeble and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty.
Earnestly Podcast, coming to you March 12th, 2024. You know, I actually didn't plan on doing much this week on the show. I had planned actually on having this jackass here on my screen on the show next week because I figured free agency starts technically next week.
Why do I deserve donkey treatment?
What I didn't account for is that apparently there are new tampering rules now where you can actually right. So there's actually already stuff going on in the NFL realm. I'm like, this is too much good shit to talk about here. Is for that we can't wait a week.
Hey, listen,
we got to get in now. So Kyle Nash is here, student game for it. First one of the offseason. My guy, what's up? Nice shirt, by the way.
I sympathize with you. By the way, this being basketball season too, if you want to throw in some hoop, we can do that. That's up to you. But it struck me the same way. I was trying to book guests for the game podcast. Bing! And I was trying to book News 4 in Jacksonville's their sport guy, Jamal St. Cree, who will be on in 2 weeks. By
nice.
The way.
Good job. Good job.
Super cool guy. Going to be first time on the pod.
Great job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he may not vote for you, but that would be a great way to express it.
Good.
In the words of Jimmy Kimmel, it's way past your jail time. But
stop real quick.
Uh-oh.
Jimmy Kimmel. He's not funny. I'm sorry.
Filed for content coming up in April.
I like that. Good. Big Jim, you listen to this podcast?
You think that also too? Won't have opinions on Jenny fucking Kimmel?
I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's funny. Personally, that's me. Anyway, go ahead. Continue.
That's a hell of a teaser by you, Ernest Christian.
Yes.
And the way I know it was great is because you did not do that on purpose. I crafted it for you. By the way, my orthopedist bill is coming to you. I'm having my shoulders looked at for carrying your fucking show all these years. Anyways, that's so awful.
Yeah. You done yet?
No, but that joking aside, booking Jamal, like I said, in 2 weeks,
right?
And or I shouldn't say tonight, but this week on the Student Game podcast will, of course, be Brandon Howard of CBS Sports,
my boy.
Yeah, our boy. Yeah, no, friends
right.
Of the show.
You know, he's never been on the show before.
Well, that's a you problem. Anyway,
no. It's not that he hasn't been invited. It's that in the past, I tried to bring him on. It's been scheduling conflicts and stuff. So
his schedule is stupid. I feel kind of lucky I managed to book him this week.
Yeah.
But the reason why Jamal is in 2 weeks, like I said, is we were about to book it for tonight, and then he's like, "Oh wait, legal tampering the following week." It's like, I got you, you know. So yeah, that was my first reminder of legal tampering, was trying to book guests for the show. So, you know, we're all kind of surprised by it, but hey, listen, this is why the NFL reigns supreme, even
right. And
season. It's and just like your NBA, by the way, one of its more tumultuous times isn't its regular season, but rather its off season.
And for the record, also too, like this should be allowed. This stretches the calendar out more for interest in the league, because now instead of having it set to this one day, like, okay, freedom's here, now you can talk to your teams now.
Yeah. Name me another sport where there's a major event of some sort in every month of the year. You can't do it.
No, NFL has now officially gotten to that point now. NBA is starting to get close to that now a little bit. I know August, September is kind of.
I mean, what's the quiet month in the NFL? May.
May.
The draft.
we still talk about draft after a little bit. We're dusting off the
what is it?
settles in draft.
Maybe like
So June is maybe the last time.
June. Yeah, June is mini camp. So
right,
and then July is training camp, and then August is preseason, and Hall of Fame.
And August also is where Cowboy fans think they're gonna win a Super Bowl every year, then they don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, Giants fans got over that real quick this offseason, but we can have that conversation later. Hey, I can always ask Tiki Barber. How about that? What do you think about that, Cowboys fan?
Well, we'll touch on him soon. I'm sure we'll touch on him in the podcast a little bit when we get to So here's what we're doing today. I decided last night, as I told you last night, on text, we got together like tomorrow. Like we got to get this done now. It's like, yep, let's do it. So
I meant to text you on Sunday. Actually, I just had a lot of events going on with. Church, and then of course, that Pacers.
You're at church?
Well, the wife is the cantor at the church, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
But by the way, as a side note too, just so I could say I talked about it somewhere, Jamal Mosley's contract getting extended with the Magic, big fan.
I just saw that.
Are you competing for a top 4 seed with a group that is constantly injured in some way, shape, form, or fashion? And oh, by the way, your star is a second-year player.
Your star, who, if God loves me, which he kind of does sometimes.
Stop wishing he's
will be a member of Miami Heat at some point. Heat culture, baby.
Listen,
future Heat culture guy.
There's an Aerosmith song most appropriate that's called "Dream On." All right,
Dream On.
Maybe you want to work on like gracefully segueing Tyler Hero into a first-year player. He won't be, but that's a whole other thing.
Oh, Lord.
I like Tyler Hero too, but listen,
he's good.
I would ask you this: who would Jamal Mosley be within your top 3 in NBA Coach of the Year candidates? I would think so,
but a question. He's probably number 2 behind the guy in OKC.
Well,
his name.
But how much of that is the players rather than him?
It's both.
Okay, it's always
we seen it. We saw this coming the last couple of years. He's been building this for a couple of years now. So
okay, sure. But as far as this year,
the
franchise best year in some period of time. And again, I mentioned the tumultuousness. Sure, everybody.
The only thing I would say is that if the Celtics somehow win north of 65 games, maybe Joe Mazzulla might get some love, but we'll see what happens there.
Well,
that's a conversation another day.
Big ass bar, yeah.
Right. Anyway. So what we decided to do,
bitches.
Yeah. So what I decided to do, we can do the standard. Let's go through each transaction, see how we like it, grade it, the whole 9. And I thought I was like, you know what? Let's do a little creative here. Let's do. We did this with Zach a couple times with other topics when it comes to pertaining to the NFL and NBA. Let's do this draft style. Let's actually select not just transactions involving free agency yesterday and whatnot, but also as a whole. We haven't met in a month. Okay, it's been a month since we last podcasted. So let's actually see where we're at right now currently in the offseason whole. So it won't be limited to just free agency transactions. It could be other things that are upcoming. We still have a draft coming up. We still have decisions being made for certain players, certain teams, what the future of their quarterbacks or whatever it may be. So let's open it up and we'll do this draft style. We'll pick each storyline. We'll just talk about it a little bit and go from there. So we'll pick 5 each.
Okay, well, since easily the two of us, are the only participants here, and you clearly have the worst record in the NFL, you should draft first.
You give it to me first?
Yeah, because you're the worst team in the NFL. Or you could be the host and laugh at the joke and let me go first. It's up to you.
Well, I was gonna be a nice guy and say, this is my fucking show, and I'm a gracious host here. I'll let you go first, but since you want to be like that, my pick first, bitch. No, you lost it. So you lost it. Yeah. You lost it.
With the worst record in the NFL. The first pick goes to Earnest.
Damn, what's Big Jim? I need his soundboard. I need to get the draft music. I'm gonna go Homer here. Let's just go Saquon to the Eagles.
Sure. Big story.
Let's go with it now.
And that's not Homer, by the way. That's a big ass story.
It's a big ass story because I'm not mad at Saquon leaving. I'm not. As a Giant fan, I'm not.
I mean, what moron would be mad at Saquon? Oh, wait.
I'm actually mad at Saquon. I'm not even mad at Saquon at all because if one team don't value you, another team does. At that point, fuck your uniform. It's about the money.
Well, and EJ, make it clear for your audience, you were always thinking they should pay Saquon and not dimes, right?
Correct. So. I'm not saying overpay, but my defense of Saquon staying there with the Giants for a long time was more so. Well, look, because I understand their logic, and I understand a lot of the team's logic when it comes to running backs. So you can't pay running backs this kind of money because of the risk reward factor. I get all that. I agree with it.
By the way, if you looked at the free agency situation for running backs this season, that economy is going to be very interesting to see what happens after that. And I'm going to talk about that with Brandon Howard on the Student Game Podcast this week. Bing!
However,
you
can't replace Special. Did he win your MVP of a Student Game Podcast last year?
2 years ago.
Well, technically, yeah. On a new year now.
2 seasons ago,
Right.
Saquon Barkley was the Student of the Game MVP. You're absolutely
right. You can't.
I'm not debating about Saquon. Apparently, any Giants fans, their franchise is. That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't feel so bad if Daniel Jones was at least remotely a decent quarterback. He's not good. Okay. Yeah. So you need a guy like Saquon Barkley on your team to at least have a chance to win games. Right. Okay. That's the thing. And I see all these Giant fans also up in their arms. Oh, you unloyal. Unloyal what? The team didn't make him a fucking offer. What are you talking about? I'm sorry. If I'm in his shoes, no, I'm dipping.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
It's a discussion. So, and then you see that idiot. I'm sorry. I'm a Giant fan, but Tiki Barber, you're a fucking moron.
Whoa, you're a moron. You're a Giant fan?
Calm down. Tiki Barber going out and saying disloyal. Disloyal to what? They didn't pay him. It goes both ways.
More precisely, he has the balls to say, you're dead to us.
Yeah.
Like, how does that go with Tiki Barber's history there, Ernest?
Did he quit on the Giants after his best year in the league? Because Tom Cobb was too tough on him?
There you go.
What a moron.
Way to provide that context for the other millennials and Gen Zers out there.
But I gotta say though, Kyle, and that's my boss on my day job. He's a massive Eagle fan. He wasn't that excited about the move, and I think it's the money. It's a lot of money.
And it's always the running backs. And if you're not aware that somebody's a special player, like imagine Eagles fans if you had Brian Westbrook, but he could actually, convert a 3rd and 1.
Mm-hmm. He can, and Saquon can. I mean, what you're doing there, and I even texted our friend Matthew realizing this yesterday because he's another Eagles fan.
Oh,
and he agrees with me.
Huddle Up podcast? Bing!
Yeah, that's right. He agreed that I understand the money and all that stuff, but you can't replace Special. He's special. It's worth the risk. That's all I'll say about that. So Saquon, do you think, man? You don't hate the Eagles. Do you think? Your thoughts?
Well, and moreover, too, you make that point. I think first of all, him going to the Eagles, I'm not a guy that often wears the conspiracy theory hat, but nah, fam. This had Petty written all over it. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
You don't let Saquon Barkley stay in the division unless he manages to broker a deal and you screw up, which is what exactly happened here. So yeah, excuse me. For me, I'll say this. It may not be the Eagles' biggest need, but it's my belief they're looking to solve their biggest needs, aka defense, in the draft, which is fascinating because their biggest problem with their defense was youth. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, listen, there's no way you could dislike Saquon being in there. They needed something to give them a shot in the arm, to get back on top of the division.
Yeah,
and with the Cowboys in there, fascinating situation is what I'll say.
They're always fascinating, aren't they? Not really.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the way that a car accident is fascinating.
Agreed. Yes.
But in all honesty, who's going to compete with them? I mean, the Cowboys probably are still the next best team in the division, right?
Oh, yeah, without question.
Because the Giants, I mean, they're irrelevant at this point. I think it's safe to say.
Yes.
I don't know what they could do to make themselves immediately in season 1. And your coach of the year from 2 seasons ago looking more and more, let's just say, silly. Now, granted, this wasn't a decision he made, but
I am curious though who made a decision on Daniel Jones to get that extension. Now, granted, it's really a 2-year deal, but still, who made it? Was that a Dayball decision? Or was that a ownership say we want this guy and do it?
Well, I'll say this about Dayball. It'll be interesting to see what his offense looked like when give the ball to Saquon is taken out of the playbook.
Yeah, that's gone now. For the record, I'll say one last thing for you to draft your pick, number 1 pick. Look, I hate the Eagles. But one thing I always said last 2 years, well, first off, Harry Roseman is the best executive in football right now. I admire how he stays on the gas no matter what.
I don't
He's
know
very
about
aggressive
bull
transactions.
crap, but he's definitely one of the more formidable ones in the league.
Yes, the Eagles stay on the gas constantly.
John Lynch has entered the chat.
Oh, John Lynch is amazing too. We know that already. I mean, we did last year with getting Chase Young. Yeah, we know that. I'm just saying that Roseman, what he's been doing with that team for years now, and staying on the gas every time with transactions and getting quality players every time, even in like not just free agency, but also like on waiver wire.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. He's good. So, all right, Kyle, who's your first pick?
For my first pick, for all the stuff that went down in the most interesting story, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs retaining Chris Jones. Now, but Kyle, he's just a defensive lineman. Dude, let me be clear about something. That deal has told you an awful lot of what to expect from the Chiefs in the coming years. Okay? What they're doing, in my opinion, with that is continuing to invest in the defense, not just for the coming season, but for beyond. By the way, defensive linemen can age pretty well depending on what their roles are. Mm-hmm. You might remember Bryant Young, who is now a 49er Hall of Famer.
Correct.
Was playing well into his mid-30s, and I think maybe a little below. I forget what.
He played a while. He played a good while.
Right. And you know, I was even in a position to ask him at the NFL Honors 2 years ago. No, sorry, I guess 3 seasons ago now in LA. When he was first confirmed as a Hall of Famer, what the key to him continuing to survive in the NFL for that long was. And, you know, he said it was a lot of stuff about health and taking care of your body, which, I mean, it seems obvious, but I'll put it this way. The long and the short is this. Chris Jones' career, I think this might be his last contract, but it's excuse me, it's going to last longer than the coming season. What I'm telling you, Ernest Christian, is I don't believe Travis Kelce does. Okay?
Yeah.
If the Chiefs pull off the three-peat, he's gone, just like the bus was when he won the Super Bowl with the Steelers in Detroit. Okay?
Yeah.
If they don't three-peat, he's likely gone, because that's an ass ton of work to continue time after time to play an extended season like that, which I think all expectations for the Chiefs is that they will again be a playoff team. So at the very least,
of course, yeah,
they'll be an extended team. Now, granted, injuries may factor in, like, let's say the Chiefs experience what the Bengals did with Joey Burr last year. I don't think they have a Jake Browning waiting in the wings to save the day, right? So what I'm telling you is they're planning to continue to be this defensive juggernaut, right? And when his number comes off the books at the end of the contract, it's spaced out pretty well compared to some of the younger stars, Karlaftis and guys like that, that are on that defensive line. Excuse me. Andy Reid has shown you that he is still investing in the defense and that the identity of this team is going to look more like what they have moving forward than it did in the past. Probably because Patrick LaVon Mahomes II is, in fact, Patrick LaVon Mahomes II and commands the contract that he does and has shown even the most mortal of men on the offensive side at any skill position is, let's just say, expendable. Now, when Creed Humphrey's contract, the center, comes up, I think that may be the only other big offensive contract you see is maybe the interior line or maybe a future tackle, but that's a separate conversation.
Yeah. You can argue, it may even be an argument. I know Mahomes won the MVP of the Super Bowl, but the MVP of this year was arguably that defense, and Chris Jones was the anchor of that. Because they don't get where they're at with all the struggles they had throughout the season without that defense holding serve.
Well, and okay. He's certainly the MVP of the defense. I will agree with that.
Absolutely, without question.
Mahomes II holds that team together, and others as well. I mean, you know, where other teams, it's usually the quarterback and the safety. I think Chris Jones is the more essential guy on the defense, 100%.
Right. It's not even knock on Mahomes. It's just that it's also just saying that Mahomes got the help he needed, but it wasn't where you thought he was going to get it. It's on that side of the ball, other side of the ball, not the receivers who hurt them.
The defense taking advantage of when things went wrong, or rather keeping a lot from going wrong, right? If the offense makes a mistake, the defense keeps points off the board still. That's what you're looking for from an elite defense to be that fail safe, to be that last line of defense.
Right. All right.
Pardon expression.
Second pick of this offseason interesting draft. I'm going to take this storyline is interesting to me. DeAndre Swift, it's the Chicago Bears, and that deal, 3 years, $24.5 million. Swift is good. Is he $8 million plus good?
Well, I'll put it this way, and you got to be careful when you're looking at deals like that. First of all, do you know how much of that is guaranteed?
I didn't see actually. I didn't see the finished numbers on that though. But
okay.
That was the,
that's the biggest thing about that. Like the reason why I did not pick Swift as a story is because A, Justin Fields exists, and we don't know what's going on with that. And B, until we know the numbers, we don't know if it's a bad deal, right? Like I'll put it this way: what I'm looking at here on SpotRack.com, bing, is I got to give them their props because they're a good site. What can I say? But what I have here so far is his yearly, we'll call it yearly cash is around $8 million, but his cap hit after the first year is significantly low, right? Like the dead cap money here, like if he gets cut, he won't. Obviously, it's his first year there. That's $14 million. It drops all the way down to call it nearly $9 million next year, right? If they don't like him after the third year, they could part ways with him for minimal impact to the salary cap, and so therefore he's only getting $8 million for the 2 years as an experiment. So, I mean. And the thing everyone has to remember is the salary cap is also about to jump up again,
and it dumped $30 million this year alone.
Like as an example of a better cap threat that doesn't make sense. Which this one, listen, we're thrown off by running backs because running backs getting paid thanks to Le'Veon Bell is now an eye curler. Like really, It's interesting how people have gotten past questioning Saquon getting paid and McCaffrey getting paid, and thank God for it, for people like you, me, and those good forces in the lame stream media, i.e. Brandon Howard, who will be on the Student of the Game this week. Bing! But I think a better example that, and this is one I pointed out in an article I had on a Jaguar Report, talking about how the Jags could trade for L'Jarius Sneed out of Kansas City, was sending Cam Robinson there, who had like an over $20 million cap hit. This is a guy that missed 4 games to suspension and then missed another 2 or 3 at least while playing hurt to get the rest done. I mean, that's nearly half the season he missed, potentially, right? And he's getting paid that much money in the upcoming season. If you're going to trade somebody to move money, you take him off your books, right? Now, granted, I don't know what team would take him, but that's more, to me, that's more of a dollar amount concern than what I'm seeing here with Swift. And he's made an impact the places he's gone. He's just not necessarily been the guy. Think Christian Kirk going from Arizona to Jacksonville. And I think this is a similar move. And this is what you do. You pay a guy that has the potential to be a top producer. You pay him like, rather than a 1 or a 2, you pay him like here, you'll like this, a 1A or a 1.5. You give him low number 1 option money and see what you can get. Not to mention the evidence seems to be that they're going to keep Justin Fields there in Chicago, which I have my own issues with, but that's a different conversation.
Right.
This deal is, I can see why fiscally conservative fans who don't want to pay a running back, like our good friend and bear friend GWSTWLIO G Stelio, may balk at this, but in terms of the market, it's not terrible. It's acceptable.
Yeah, I'm looking at the breakdown now. $14 million fully guaranteed at signing, $16.5 million 2-year cash flow. The cap hit's only $5.83 million. $5.83 million. So lower than $6 million cap hit. That's all it is. So it looks like when you break down the national contract, it looks kind of friendly, team friendly.
Yeah, it's a good point. This year the cap hit is only that. Now next year it jumps, but the third year they can walk and be
There's
better
still
off for it.
and there's a lot of bonuses. There's a lot of bonuses in there. There's workout bonuses in there. There's per game roster bonuses each year. Sign bonus, all that stuff. Yeah,
But
so it's team building.
The punchline is the guaranteed money is done in 2 years.
Yeah, so it's a small hit. So yeah, in hindsight, not too terrible. All right, the second pick.
Oh yeah, your second of all the ones you could have gone with, you went with Swift. That's
I'm gonna be creative.
I'm mad at you. Well, hell, someone's got to say it. Russell Carrington Wilson.
Let's do it.
I apparently look like a giant idiot. I talked to my good friend, Colin Cronin, of the Irish NFL show last week on the Student of the Game. Bing! That was one bing for the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we both said that we didn't feel like Rusty was a fit in Pittsburgh. He had his reasons, but for me, I mean, think about it. There's two ways I can go when it comes to guys like Rusty fitting in Pittsburgh. The way I went was, hey, listen, Pittsburgh, blue collar, all of that is really been the personality of the team for God. I mean, basically the life of the franchise, right? There's not a whole lot of prima donna or finesse, or I dare I say even the word prissy elements to that team. But, and by the way, that's why I feel like Rusty is there. If Rusty is a guy who you need an assistant to talk to him, or his teammates, by the way, need an assistant to talk to him, that's not a fit in my mind with that franchise. However, conversely, we're also talking about Mike Tomlin, who has, 17 winning seasons in a row, and did it in a span where two of the biggest divas, arguably, in Pittsburgh history, in Antonio Brown, who, by the way, is at UCF all the time because his son or something is a prospect. And trust me, that's a whole other question you and I could talk about off air.
Mm-hmm.
And then I previously mentioned Le'Veon Bell. He managed to coach the team to success with both those guys. Now, granted, hell of a statement that the two of them kick up enough stink to where they get moved under Mike Tomlin, which if I'm an NFL GM, I'm like, if the two of them can't handle Mike Tomlin, why would you retain him? And then you remember one of the teams involved was the Jets and the other was the Raiders. So now it makes sense. But I think it's a situation where Mike Tomlin is used to dealing with, how you say, we'll call it big personalities, or one could even say
that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
which it's been established that Rusty is. Nonetheless, Russell Carrington Wilson has earned the middle name treatment on the Student of the Game podcast. I will continue to do that, but that surprised me, man. I'm not saying he's not a fit there football wise. We'll have to see. Can George Pickens be his new TJ? Go ahead.
Was the receiver in 16 in Seattle? Tyler
Lockett's one of them,
right? Yeah.
But
DK Metcalf
is the other guy. Yeah, that's the one who I think is actually talented.
Right.
The guy who was in the Olympic trials, for Christ's sake.
Oh, shoot, right. He was.
His size is just. It was funny.
Yeah.
Him run. He looked like the coach racing with the track team in high school. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But. Yeah, I think he's a fit there, and for now, TJ Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick are still on there. They can get Rusty for minimal money, because the Broncos in that cap hit, man. Listen,
I don't get that.
Here's what it is. They're saying, hey, there's a mistake here, and we need to move off of it. You're still paying for the sins, Denver, that Nathaniel Hackett committed. By the way, the Jets still had the balls to give him a game ball when they won that football game, when they managed to beat the team that Hackett made so bad that the Jets could beat them. Like, let's wrap our heads around that for a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I'll say about the Rusty situation, because that you saw how many different dimensions that jumped to. Like, you would think this is a damn Marvel multiverse movie, for Christ's sake.
I mean, this can go two ways. This could be a total disaster where Russ is, does not, if he'd believed that the diva personality was a thing, and then, here in Pittsburgh, he could fix that, and that it can go bad, but it can also go great. It could be one of those things where he disappoints and his career is pretty much over, or he can have this team in the AFC title game next year. That's how wide the spectrum is here with Russell. Because if Russell Wilson because he played decent last year with Denver on a really bad team, if you can have that kind of production on the Steeler team that had the worst quarterback situation last year in football, okay, and made the playoffs anyway, despite that, you get a quarterback that knows what he's doing. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm just saying that it just wouldn't surprise me if I see in late January they're playing the AFC title game right to go to the Super Bowl because Russell Wilson had a turnaround year and the Steelers became who they were.
So
that's all I'm saying.
Worst quarterback situation of the year. The Jets have entered the chat. B.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're right. No. But I mean,
Pickett and Mason Rudolph, they're still better than Tim fucking Boyle. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's be clear about that.
Yeah. Jet fans in the chat. You're right. So number two.
Yeah. No. Well, I'm on 3.
The Browns.
Well, remember I led with Chris Jones.
No. I'm saying the 3 quarterback situation.
And by the way, I like the Browns as a candidate. That's fair too.
They did play okay in spots, not Deshaun, but the other guys.
But yeah, you say it comes down to an extreme. There's a very good chance that Mike Tomlin and Rusty could have friction, and they still get a winning record though. No, I don't think that it's. By the way, the division's still tough as hell. Joey Burr's coming back. Not T Higgins.
Who's that?
Oh no, yeah, the other receiver next to Jamar Chase is
T Higgins.
Yeah,
you're right.
An article about him on Jaguar Report.
Mr. Franchise Tag who requested a trade apparently.
Yeah, it's very interesting too. By the way, how he mentions how he would be interested when asked which 3 quarterbacks he'd like to play with. He first mentions his former college quarterback, Trevor, then mentions C.J. Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
And then his third one, he didn't really have a third option. He just started listing off not Hall of Famers, but top tier quarterbacks in the league right now. Like, the 2, he mentions the 2. And then, I know Josh Allen, Lamar, Demetrius. He didn't say Demetrius, but, we say Demetrius here. Mm-hmm. Lamar Jackson, So really, but the first 2 names being Trevor Lawrence and C.J. Stroud to me is interesting that those are on his list, but I digress. Yeah, it's all pretty crazy with what's going on with that division and Rusty getting there, man. Like I said, MCU multiverse movie right there.
Yeah. Number 3. Kirk Cousins has the greatest age in history of sports. Seriously. I mean, look, I knew you'd get paid something. What I didn't see come was 4 years and $180 million. And this is off an injury last year. Was it ACL or was it Achilles last year? I can't remember. It was lower leg.
That's a good question. I thought it was an ACL, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, anyway, regardless, he's mid-30s, 35 years old. And he's a solid quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. He's solid. He'll get to the playoffs. Maybe win a playoff game. He's done before. But there's a ceiling there. However, this guy has somehow, some way been able to, I don't know, his agent's got that good or Kirk Cousins has a certain charm in him. But every contract he's gotten after his franchises in Washington has been almost as max you can get for the guy of his quality. And I got to say, at least from the optics looking in, I mean, granted, Tampa still was able to keep Baker Mayfield, still to keep Mike Evans. But right, I mean, you're looking at, is Atlanta not favorites in the NFC South now with this?
Hell no.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Are you crazy? No. Hold on. But let's start pumping some brakes. First of all, people have talked about, Atlanta's line is good. No, it's just better than the trash it's been traditionally for years. Like, you would be surprised for a guy that wasn't mobile, like Matt Ryan was not himself comparatively. Like, his O-line was pretty bad over his career. Mm-hmm. And now, granted, it helps when you got dudes like Julio Jones and stuff catching passes, But yeah, no, that's kind of been a tradition to have relatively bad O-line play, which is ironically like what you used to see in Green Bay. But
by the way, it was the Achilles for record.
It was okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Let's put it this way. What you could safely take off the board for anything Kirk Cousins does at his age, having that injury and still being an NFL starter, him running the football on a design play. Okay. Anyways, Design quarterback run, not going to happen. Not that it was going to before his injury, which is the point. Listen, the only reason why this Coupons move is going to work is because it's the NFC South. And that's really your best point.
True.
Do I think Atlanta's the favorites? No. Frauds commit fraud all the time. Which, by the way, as far as fraud goes, perfect that Kirk Cousins is the quarterback of this team. Oh, my God. Proof of your statement that he has the best agent of all time. Of all time. The ski masks of various colors from franchises he's gotten a chance to wear by stealing cash from these Humpy Bumpies. It's absolutely insane to me.
Humpy Bumpies like that.
You know, yeah. But like people, you say when you make that statement about the best agent, which you're not the first person to make it, and more than one person can be right about a topic. For example, anytime somebody agrees with me, say 95% of the time, you're going to be right. But
it's the ego again.
Listen, I might have a big ego, but that's also the reason why I can tell you for a fact that I'm the most humble mamma jamma in the room. Anyways,
that's true.
But I like the ski mask stealing that he's done with guaranteed contracts, I might add, is tribute to his agent. And people push back. Well, Kirk never did this and Kirk never did that. The one thing that some bitch did, get paid. All right. That's why he's called Coupons. It's not because he's a discount because he ain't. It's because he's got all that cash and he's redeeming coupons on the regular. No one got rich writing checks. That's why Kirk Cousins is rich, man. That's what I'm saying.
Oh my God. What's number 3?
Golly, yeah, no, I gotta come back down from that rant because that was
I know.
That was so entertaining you making that point, man. Like him being the head of a team we call the fraud cons, like I said, is just perfect. The direction I'm going to go is this. For all the movement in the running back space that's taken place, the one I'm watching very closely, which I find absolutely fascinating, is, and this is with Gus Edwards, by the way, going from one Harbaugh to the other, from Baltimore to Los Angeles with the Chargers going from John to Jim. I can't help but enjoy the concept of a potential landing of one Derek the King Henry in Baltimore. You're telling me we could potentially live in a world where Odell Beckham Jr. is a receiver, granted, a fraction. Oh God, I was Freudian as hell. A fraction of his former self, perhaps, but nonetheless still on there, was Zay Flowers on the other side. Mark Andrews, an excellent tight end. More than excellent, right? And then Lamar Demetrius Jackson, last year's MVP at quarterback, with Derek freaking Henry. That's absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. Now, it hasn't happened yet, but it's absolutely amazing. Matter of fact, I'll put this. You know the one thing that guarantees, Ernest Christian, on paper, assuming no one gets hurt, blah, blah, blah? There's no way Lamar Demetrius Jackson's going to repeat as an MVP with him in the backfield. It's not going to happen.
Nope. Still, it'd be another McCaffrey situation.
Close. I don't think there's a world where Derrick Henry can make that big of an impact in the passing game. But the thing I do love is the improvement in protection that Derrick Henry will provide. He's an excellent pass blocker. I can say confidently.
He's a big boy too.
Yeah, that's part of it, man. And for it makes a lot of sense for a running back like that historically to end up in the AFC North, and I'll leave it at that, man.
Yeah, I love that pick. Actually, that was my number 4 pick queued up in case you didn't pick it.
Can you imagine were Derrick Henry in that game against the Chiefs where everybody's screaming, "Run the ball"? I don't think that would have been a problem in that playoff game.
All right, my 4th pick. I'm gonna stay running back here. I'm going Josh Jacobs.
That's a good one.
From the Raiders to the Packers. And also Aaron Jones going from the Packers, getting cut, and now going to the Vikings. I'm fascinated by these running back situations. I really am, because there's still clearly a market to some degree. Yeah, obviously you're not gonna get the big receiver numbers and quarterback numbers, but there's clearly a value to some degree with backs. And I know Saquon set the market, with his contract, what it may be. It's the same reason why the Derrick Henry thing is also interesting too, because he still has some value to the team. I think Derrick Henry is a guy that can actually tilt a Super Bowl conversation, for example, to your point. Josh Jacobs can as well too. I think this could be a move for the Packers.
Yeah.
NFC's weak. Jordan Love's ascending. They were healthy late in the year. We saw. What was that for? What was the?
Jordan Love is ascending compared to where he was this time last year. I see him going into this upcoming season plateauing.
Okay,
but
if he plays as well as he did at the end of the year, that could be enough to get you the NFC title game.
But to your point, a Josh Jacobs back there filling the gap where Aaron Jones decided that he wanted to get paid better than what the Packers was offering. The fact that he has something back there that can help him balance the load. I mean, look at your boy Eli. There is a night and day. And not even the best running backs that he's ever had. Just Rashad Jennings, who's a good back, but not like I would not put him on the level with a healthy Brandon Jacobs, for example.
Right.
Who I met speaking, by the way, super nice guy. It's the same phenomenon, I think, where if you got something back there, especially a guy who's, I think he has a rushing title at least, if not more than one. I forget if he has more, but anyways, like that's a big deal to have that supporting cast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think this could be one of those moves to look back like, oh shit. And if Packers playing this game late January, you know why. So just saying. All right, number 4 for you.
Well, real quick.
Go ahead.
With Josh Jacobs in that backfield in Green Bay, you've essentially de facto put the Packers on top of the division, right? Like they're the favorites.
Not necessarily. At the very least, a wild card. I think we got to see Detroit
favorites in the NFC North.
Oh no, not necessarily, because I can still see him. I
still respect Detroit that much. You don't think they're going to take a step?
I don't know if I don't think Detroit's going to get better than they were last year, but I don't know if they'll fall enough to where the Packers can swap. It wasn't surprising they swapped, obviously. But
I don't think it's the Lions falling. I think it's the Packers getting better.
I mean, if you ask me right now in March, way before we do our over-unders in August, who my predictions to win the division?
Yeah, I reserve the right to change my mind.
Am I gonna lean the Packers? If I'm gonna do it, it's 51-49.
Listen. As much as we've done stuff together here, podcasting over
10, 11 years,
you need to adopt my strategy. Listen, folks, here on the Earnestly Speaking podcast and the Student of the Game, bing! Everything we talk about for the coming season isn't locked in until the show after Labor Day, which is the first week of the NFL.
Amen.
So, yeah, it's something you're going to be looking at. The draft could change all that too, of course. But
actually, all that I just don't know if Jared Goff will be that good next year. So I'll say Packers, but it's like a 51-49 like deal.
Oh,
like,
yes.
literally, like
If it was easy, I wouldn't have asked the damn question.
I'll say this: they're both playoff teams. There's that.
Ooh, look at you stepping out on
there.
There
you go. One's a wild card, one's a division winner. So there you go. All right, number 4 for you.
Oh, as far as story, right?
Yeah. You got 10 minutes. Gotta get a heart out very soon.
Yeah. Well, let's probably just do top 4 here then.
Okay.
But for me, listen, I know that here comes Big Jim of the Huddle Up, a CEO of Huddle Up Inc. Bing. Oh, you always talk about me. Well, no, this is me talking about your Cowboys and Tony Pollard parting ways and going to the Titans. That's incredibly interesting. What I like about it is it's showing they're leaning into using their draft pick out of Tulsa as a continuing to be a gadget guy. I forget his name. It's not Swift. It's
I know who it is. I just can't remember his name.
I can even tell you, went to Tulane and everything. I covered him twice for the black and gold banneret. Bing! And I still can't remember his stupid name. But
stupid name.
Yeah, but the punchline is bringing Pollard in. They're still going to do running back by committee, which is a good way to, by the way, replace Derrick Henry in the aggregate. And they're leaning into the mayonnaise Messiah, which, regardless about how I feel about that, is just their way of life now. I mean,
he got good money too. Actually, he got 3 years, 24 million as well.
okay, so I think he's sitting right about where he should. Maybe you don't think he's a true number one, but you're paying him light number one money. And I haven't looked at the structure of his deal yet, but
Yeah, I gotta see I don't see the breakdown of the deal, but I do see it's 3 opt to shoot 3 years, 24. So you look at it like a Swift deal, probably. Let's assume it's close to this.
Spears, that's his name, Spears.
Right, he was good last year too in spots.
I'm trying. I listen. I predicted he would be good. Talking on the Touring the NFC South Draft Review Show with my guy, the General Mike Patton. Bing!
Right. All right, we'll do a quick 5. This is the 5th one here. This is you're not going to Woods. I don't know why I'm intrigued by the Mac Jones going to Jacksonville thing, but I'm kind of intrigued by that.
You shouldn't be.
I mean, now there's no way in the world I believe that there's a quarterback controversy. No, there's not. Stop. People would say that yesterday. Oh, wait, Mac Jones to Jacksonville? Is there a possibility that Trevor Lawrence maybe could be on a little flyer here? No, stop. He had a down year last year, yes. Well, a lot of things came to play with that. But I'm still intrigued by Mac Jones going there. I'm still intrigued by that. Just because at least now you get a look. He's not a great starter. Wasn't a great starter, but he's at least a quality backup.
I mean, this is a story because you're a Patriots fan, and that's it. Okay,
That too.
You know, that's all there is to this. If I said to you, Mac Jones or C.J. Beathard, who would you rather have backing up Trevor Lawrence, who missed time and was playing hurt throughout the year last year?
Beathard played well last year. Ish.
But that's my point. Would you rather, would you rather a guy who, if you're Doug Peterson, you feel like can develop as an offensive coach rather than Bill Belichick, who's been a horrible drafter and a defensive coach who, by the way, I believe the year Mac Jones was drafted didn't even have a damn OC as the OC.
Correct.
I think I'll put it this way.
It's probably better than having those other clowns they had before that.
Yeah. If Jason Kelsey can say, I played terrible in 2016 and turn around and can extend his career to what it is now before he's retired and be a badass, why can't Mac Jones do the same thing, kind of relearning or restructuring or altering his performance at the position under a Super Bowl winning offensive coach?
Correct. Yeah. But by the way, there's no controversy in Jacksonville. Stop. Please stop.
Yeah, just like Trey Lance is going to take over Dakota Prescott's job.
I heard, but someone said to me yesterday that what team was it saying that he was saying this that
Trey Lance said, yeah.
Trey Lance going somewhere else, like someone's team take a flyer on him. In Minnesota, somebody take a flyer on Trey Lance.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
I don't think so either. Can you get what, 5th rounder for him now? 4th rounder? I think he cost Dallas a 3rd or 4th last year.
Was it 2 picks?
It was like a compensatory. I think it was like 1 pick plus a.
I thought it was a 4th and a compensatory.
No, that's what I'm saying. 4th, something like that.
If he didn't play, I mean, that really wouldn't be a factor. I don't.
Right. Exactly.
I honestly don't.
All right, give me a 5th one. See if we get out there.
For me, I mean, it's the biggest story, but I don't want to talk about it too much right now because it's probably going to come up a lot when I have Jamal St. Croix on in 2 weeks. But it's the big story. It's a big story, but it's not going to end anytime soon. I'm going to go with Josh Allen and the Jags.
Okay.
He's been franchise tagged, and everybody's freaking out amongst the Duval devout about why he hasn't been signed yet. Listen, we saw it happen with Chris Jones last year, who ended up missing a game, by the way, holding out, where the Chiefs lost to the Lions by 1. Shouts to Mike Bernier, the Burn, for calling that out of Huddle Up Bang Bang. And so, too, did Lamar Demetrius Jackson. Now, the difference is those were 2 well-managed organizations that ended up landing the plane very nicely. Both organizations represented the AFC in their conference championship game. The Jags are not typically that. And as a 49er fan who's already suffered a meltdown at the hands of Trent Baalke, the Jags are headed in the same direction because I can do an entire episode on the cap hell that the Jags are in. And if you want to do an offbeat episode of the Earnestly Speaking podcast, bing, maybe, I could break that down if you really wanted. Or you could look out for us, me and Travis Holmes of BigCatCountry.com talking about it on the Duval Dive. Bing! But, yeah. At the end of the day, I say it's a big story. People freaking out about it. I'm not there yet because they're playing chicken, just like Chris Jones and Lamar Demetrius Jackson did last offseason.
I think also they want to wait. If they plan on signing them this summer, they want to wait to make sure the money's in order first, see who they're drafting, the whole nine, get that organized, and then they'll go for,
drafting a known commodity. You know what those contracts are going to look like. What you may have noticed is the movement the Jags have executed so far, right? They've cut Rayshawn Jenkins, Darius Williams as DBs. They've cut Falaransu Fatukasi, which, I mean, if you respect fat men, that defensive tackle leaving and then going to the Texans is a problem if you're a Jags fan. And then acquiring Gabe Davis, which, listen, I'm looking forward as a media guy to get reunited with him. These moves are all designed to set the table for what they're going to do with Calvin Ridley and Josh Allen. Now, granted, what they do with Andre Sisco and Trevor Lawrence next year, whole other question. And by the way, Travis Etienne is going to be in big trouble when he goes to the table when his contract goes up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting situation. I'm surprised we didn't pick the Bears situation. But you know what? Honestly, I think we discussed so much leading up to the free agency now. It's a matter of just waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's not an issue because I think they're foolishly going to keep him. So to me, it's not intriguing.
Right. And we've been talking about this even leading up to what we are now. So that was good, man. That was fun. And I got you out with 3 minutes to spare. Kyle, plug away. We'll do the report probably in a couple weeks of that.
You can't say go Heat, bitch, because they're on a skid.
3-game losing streak, and they lost to the Wizards. You don't get no Heat, bitch, from me. Sorry, no
Heat, bitch.
No Heat, bitch. And they got paid. And the worst part, you got paid Denver tomorrow. Good job.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, do no Heat, bitch, in your Trump voice.
No Heat, bitch. No Heat.
Perfect. If that isn't the antithesis to The Rock going go Heat, bitch, I don't know what is.
Yes.
I'm Kyle Nash, a student of the game. You can find me on Twitter at the SOTG. Find me on Threads and Instagram as the same, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writings with the Black and Gold Banneret, where I covered Taylor Hendricks coming back to town as a member of the Utah Jazz and playing the Orlando Magic. Check out the Jaguar Report, where I talked about potential trade scenarios involving L'Jarius Sneed of the Chiefs and T. Higgins of the Cincinnati Bengals coming to Jacksonville potentially. And then also my work with the 3-point conversion. You'll see a lot of post-game press conferences from here in Orlando on the 3-point conversion YouTube channel and, the Duval Dive on the 3-point conversion iHeartRadio channel, amongst all the other places I deal with, Sertova Media, Huddle Up, and of course, my pages with A7BN Sports as well, where I cover the Orlando Magic, as I mentioned. And I got another Duval Dive coming Friday. I did it last week with Travis Holmes. A lot of good exploration there. I think Travis got some therapy off his chest. And I think there's going to be more conversation with all the acquisition the Jags makes. New punt returner, new receiver, new center. Buffalo center came to Jacksonville. That should be enough to tease it if you're a Jags fan. A former Packers DB. Savage to pick him up. See what I did there? Yeah, but a lot of movement there on the Duval Dive. So check that out. Check out that stream on Friday. I'm going to put tentatively 11 a.m. because it depends on Travis's work schedule, ? But in the meantime, Ernest Christian, in honor, joy, and privilege.
Pause real quick before this was class. While we were recording, 2 transactions we missed. The Bengals are trading Joe Mixon to Houston.
Oh, that's intriguing.
Just a trade. Instead of cutting him out right, they traded him this morning.
Hell, that would have been a story because they missed on Saquon, but they still land Mixon. That's not bad.
And the other one is that James Winston is going to Cleveland. I don't want to do.
That's not a story. All that does is
I'm just saying that
keeps Flacco on the couch. That's what that.
Yeah. Yes. Now you can discuss class now.
But in the meantime, everybody, class dismissed.
Earnestly.